Welcome back, family, to another episode of Better Minds Interrupting. I'm your host, Lovely T, your spiritual personal trainer, along with Maria Brown Girl Interrupting.
What's up? Hey, fam. I am so glad to be here tonight, and we are getting into some good conversation, I hear. We're going to be talking about.
Oh, do you? What are we talking about? What the
Oh, what the ego? I want to know. What about ego? Because look, egos take up some space. They take up some space.
takes up a lot of space. Okay, so let's define it first. Make sure we all on the same page, right? Let's do that. Okay, so the ego is the self, you, especially as contrasted with another self or the world. It's individuality or separatedness. We got that?
Okay. I'm thinking.
So just also to let you know, there's 3 types of egos. They all live within you. We have the child.
Okay.
The child, which is considered your ID. This is your identity, your learning stages. So you have your child ego. And with this ego, behavior, thoughts, and feelings is replayed from childhood. Okay? Then you go into your ego, which is yourself as an adult. Your main ego. And that is behavior, thoughts, and feelings, which are in direct response to the here and now. Your present, what you got going on with you right now. Right? And then we got this super ego. That's the parent.
It's got to be a super, right?
That's the parent. That's the parent, okay? Keep that in mind. Parent is the super ego. And
wait, hold on. So wait. Does that mean super ego is my parent or it is the parent of all the egos?
It's the parent of all of the super egos.
Okay.
And with that, behavior, thoughts, and feelings copied from parents or parental figures.
Oh, so it's like I have the range of me as a child, me as a grown adult or adulting, whatever stage I'm in, right? And then I have me and my parents' relationship. So all these egos exist at the same time inside me?
Yes, they do.
That's why they take up so much damn space.
Yes, that's why you like. That's why you act different on certain days. That's why you got certain temperaments, certain attitudes, and all that derived from your beliefs. But if you have I'll give you some examples. If you have like a childlike ego, then you could be, and this is when I'm saying think of conflict. Okay. If you have a childlike ego, you could be anxious, arguing, arrogant, awkward, confused, defensive, moody, pouty. If you have an adult ego during a conflict and you're more alert, you're capable, clear-headed, you're efficient, you're fair-minded, you're rational, you're realistic, you're unemotional. Now, when you go into that super ego, you bossy, you're demanding, intolerant, opinionated, prejudiced, rigid, severe. I can go on.
Okay. Yeah. So then depending, it's all contextual. So whatever context you're in, whatever experience you're having, that's which ego is going to come out. Now, does it determine also like how that ego comes out, like in terms of this is where like childhood traumas or like any experiences you have impact how those egos are coming out also?
Yes. I'm glad you asked that, because it all begins with you, right? The ego
Mm-hmm.
is the self. The self is you. So you have to, again, understand, recognize, and be aware of how you are, what you respond, how you respond, all those good stuff. But that's when you come Palmer Studios super ego. They all
They
live in.
all live in you.
They
Yes.
do. So I'm going to give you some background to what you just asked. Okay? Let's think of fulfillment. To begin a life of fulfillment or lack of desirable physical experiences in life isn't due to anything outside of yourself and reveals itself based on the kind and quality of choices that you choose to make. Lack and limitations in life stems from a choice. We all have choices. We all make these choices. We know that these choices have good and or bad consequences to these. We know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our interpretations, which involves our perception or reality of the data that our five senses process, which the mind utilizes and depends on to make whatever choice we choose. In other words, if I can't smell the food, I don't know if it smells good. I need to be there to know that. That's just my perception. That's my reality. On the
Mm-hmm.
other hand, someone else that might know what this food smell like could be like, oh, that smell good. Just by looking at it, I know what that smell like. That's their perception. That's their reality. Right?
So bring it back to ego. Is it that your ego is interpreting the situations you're in based on your ego's experiences? So, for example, if you've had experiences where maybe you were stunted at a young age, say something happened to you at 15, at 18, at 21, right? And so when you are triggered, I mean, this is what I'm asking. I don't know if this is it. I'm trying to figure it all out, right? When you're triggered by something that can take you back to that moment, that reminder of that moment, that is the ego that comes out.
That's right. That's why there's
So,
three.
and so, but like I'm also hearing like it's not necessarily, even though you mentioned like time frames like childhood, adulthood, and parents, it's really more what those egos encompass, right? So child is more of like the description of it is that it's immature. It's immaturity, right? It's impulsiveness, it's anger, it's anxiousness, it's like it's being driven by that immature emotions. And then adult would say you're at a mature place where you're neutral to some degree in your ego, right? Your ego is not overly anything, not underly anything. It's just kind of it's there, but it's not taking on the conversation. It's not taking everything out. Yes, let go my ego, Ishay. Yeah.
Ego, my ego.
Let go that ego. Yes, yes. I mean, really, like honestly, like those egos take up, especially those the child ones and the parenting one, because the parenting one, right? That's like some bossiness, right? So that's like a different level of like feeling like you need to control the things around you with your
Entitlement
ego.
kind of. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What's up, Redemption Song? Thank you. Good evening to
Good
you. We are so glad
evening.
you're here.
Okay, so let's dive a little bit. Let's go a little bit deep in them trenches. But before I hit them, let's see what this one say. Palmer Studios. Andrew, ego is a spirit within itself, and it has a life of its own. So when it comes out, you're unaware. That is so true on certain levels.
Are you really unaware? And that's what I'm wondering about. Okay, see, the unaware part threw me off. Oh no.
On certain levels. I'm gonna get to that though. I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
Because it's true, it's some truth right there. Okay, so rising above the self-limiting and self-sabotaging ego self requires elevating your awareness to who is determining the outcome, followed by conscious and honest reflection, which reveals how and why these experiences are happening. I am. Well, not anymore. I was beginning redemption. I did. I went over that.
And we're breaking it down. We're breaking it down. Yes, we're talking about the id, the ego, and the super ego, right? And how they really come out in our lives. Because, yeah, I mean, all of us probably maybe took Psychology 101 or took those classes, right? We heard about those three things, but like, I honestly hadn't thought about them again in a while until I started to think about the ego that's taken up spaces in interactions I've had with people lately. So this is good because breaking it down and making those connections is helping me understand where it comes up in life. Because that's what it is. It's real life, right?
Right. And we don't need reminders. We all need these reminders. We don't go walking around and say, let's get more into perception. Let's go and study it.
Right. I'm not like, oh man, that's my super ego taking over, right? Like, I'm not saying it's my super ego. It's my, it's my ego. It's my id. Like, I just know this is how I'm feeling right now. This is how I'm going to react right now. And I'm not, and I guess this goes to what Andrew's point was, right? Sometimes we're unaware. However, going back to what you were saying, I don't think we're always unaware. I think some people are in denial of it, not unaware. I think denial is different than being unaware of something.
Okay. But you got
there's so much. Okay. Okay, there's so much.
You got something there. I like it. So, perception of failures, shortcomings, and disappointments in life are the result of believing and keeping focus on fear-based trains of thoughts based on what can be seen and experienced with limitations of the 5 physical senses. At this point, we run into mind sight over eyesight.
Okay, so what I heard, and I'm gonna have you tell me more in a second, is that again, going back to our fears, our other experiences, right? So if our fears and our other experiences trigger us, and then our ego comes out, it's really that we're fearful of something. And that's why our ego is is the ego almost like a protection that we feel the need to have in order to not deal with something, to not address something, or to protect us from others around us, and that we may have a perception we even need a protection from, because we may not need to be protected from them. They may actually be very good people, and our ego is taking up space because we are triggered and reminded of some other experience.
Yes, you said it all. The thing about ego is it can make us show out, and it can also make us hide. See, it works.
Yeah.
Both ways. It works both ways, depending on how you was raised, your childhood, what you went through when you became an adult, and how your responsibilities made you. And as the parent of yourself, that extra, that you got this, that super ego, You got this. Ain't nobody better than you. You rocking. you fly right now. You know what I'm saying? That super parent ego right there, that's the one you gotta control and watch. Right?
Well, okay, and can I'm gonna ask, is there one more layer, which is how do other people respond to your ego? So if while you were growing up or even in your adulthood, now I've experienced some folks like this, right? That have certainly let their have been encouraged to have their ego. So if you've been told your ego's got a space here, it's okay, you got this because you are on this pedestal, then now your ego is more likely to think, oh, I can be anywhere and I am welcome in every space.
Right, and it can come off as arrogant, bossy. It can come off as those things. So you're absolutely right about that.
Okay. I saw some comments. I know we missed them. I don't know if we can throw them back up, but I saw some thoughts in there.
I think Isha, yep. Call me Mr. ID.
Call me Mr. Ed, yes.
Your ego is your
redemption.
That is true.
Yes.
That's your
yes.
That's
yes.
you. It's yourself.
So the goal is to be in your adult ego. So, right? Like if your ego is a representative, then your goal is to be at your adult ego, which is just your ego versus your super ego or your child or your id, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And like Andrew said, the ego will also bring out guilt within that person. Because if you try to hide things, your ego, your super parent ego gonna step in and be like, keep lying or keep hiding, or you don't have to tell them the truth, or it's okay to be this way, or it's okay to be that way. You know, that parent is coming down on you.
And then your guilt comes out as defensiveness instead of acceptance of self.
You hitting the key points I'm trying to bring out, girl. Yes.
Yes, Andrew, be in your mature adult ego. That is what we need more people being in.
Yes. Agreed. Okay, so check this out. People who successfully transcend and rise above perceived difficulties, failures, lack of money, lack of transportation, lack of whatever it is, and they don't depend on or buy into the experience with limited physical senses, but rather keep fixated on mind sight rather than eyesight.
So they're focused on perception, not reality.
Right. Kind of like your eyes are the courtroom. They judging. But without your eyes, if you just put your head and be logical and listen and think, you have a different perception. And then your eyes meet the image later. Mind sight. So, with that being said, mind sight is more powerful and accurate, and an accurate perception of reality than eyesight. Because eyesight says, I see it, so it must be real because I see it. Mind sight begin to see and understand that what appears as real is only what was looked at, focused on, and believed at some point in the past, which can be limited beliefs.
Yes, redemption. You're having sociology, psychology class flashbacks. Love it. Yes, we're going in for sure. And I am having the same because I'm like, ooh, this is all the stuff I was taking notes on. Now I can't remember any of those notes. So, but like, okay, so that is so interesting what you just said, because is it like it's that my ego is what is making sense of the things in front of me. So like if I'm just like, I'm reminded of some experiences recently, right? Where like I interpreted a moment as something as what it was because it's what I saw. But when I stepped back and I looked at it, I was like, but that's not what was happening here. It was really me being triggered by something else that was familiar to me. And I actually just wrote a post on this, right? I'm like, and because I was triggered by something familiar, I thought that what I was seeing in front of me was the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my ego was my eyesight and when I stepped away from my eyesight and just seeing what I was seeing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I started to think about it and I was able to process and be like, so this is someone different. This is a different behavior. And who I'm thinking of is this person and their behavior is this way. It cannot be the same. It's not the same, right? So you have to separate the people around you and not let your ego get in the way of how you interpret things.
That's right. Of those triggers. That's right. That is right.
And you got to examine your own triggers.
That's
right?
right.
Like that's it. Like what you just said of those triggers.
That is that self-awareness that we all have to become aware of. Andrew said people are stuck in 3D and don't see the full dimensions. That is so true.
Yes, that's that eyesight. Yes, that's that eyesight versus mindsight, right? Like it is
That's
the 3D
right.
versus like multi-dimensional understanding.
That's right. So mindsight beats eyesight any day, every time. Why? Okay. Because the mind will bring into physical form what the eyes will eventually see, as I was telling y'all earlier. Now, how does the ego mind play a role in this mindsight, eyesight? The ego mind depends on and reacts to the data that allow to be stored and give attention to, like what you was talking about earlier. Right?
It's our experiences. Our experiences, our triggers. What are we bringing with us? What's our baggage?
So we ask ourselves, what the ego? The ego mind is the aspect of the mind that determines what you will experience. The ego mind is an aspect of the mind that many aren't consciously aware of. Remember what Andrew said earlier? Right? You're unaware. So this is, I'm going to read that again. The ego mind is an aspect of mind that many aren't consciously aware of. The ego mind perceives physical events, conditions, and circumstances as reality. And Andrew said the mind is the first eye. It is.
So can you tell me more about the mind being the first eye? When Andrew said that, you confirmed it. What does that really mean? Like for people who are, I have no idea. What's the first eye? What does that mean?
See, y'all can't even see that, but your third eye up there, can you see your third eye? You can't see it, but it's full of knowledge. It's full of information if you know how to tap into it. That's something you just can't see. That's your mind sight. That's right there. That's a metaphysical spew on you. I ain't gonna go too deep because you can get deep.
No, but you can, and we might not be able to go there yet. But I think what you're saying though is the power of how do we not allow our egos to create barriers in our relationship dynamics, in the way that we move through the world, in the way that we work professionally, personally, whatever it is, because that's the spiritual healing, right? Because when my ego is in the way, then I am either retreating because of my ego, or I am engaging at a level where I am placing my ego as the soul thing that should take up all the space, right? Like it's like, and now everybody else has to either manage around my ego or navigate around my ego or figure out how to break down my ego.
This is true. This is true. Because the unaware ego mind attempts to make logical what cannot be considered logical due to its limited perspective. You just touched on that. The limited ego.
Perspective.
Andrew says, right, your mind gives you the imagination, and that image is sight. And that is true. That's your illusion. That's your image. That's your sight. That's your creativity. That's what you manifest. That's your perspective. The limited ego. Okay.
No, I think what you just said was powerful. That's what you manifest. And so when we're coming to spiritual healing, what we manifest, what we say, what we put into the universe is really powerful because it becomes the reality in which we exist in. Like we really do speak our experiences into existence. So if we're saying those negative things, we are manifesting those negative things in our lives.
Exactly. Yes. Think about it. If you wake up and be like, oh, this thing going wrong. I've done that. I was like, this is going to be a boring day. And it's been a boring day. Why? Because my mind already told me that that's what's going to go down. I manifested it before I even manifested it. I could have made it a better day. I could have did something. But because I was in that thought pattern, I stayed in that thought pattern.
Yes. That's big.
Redemption say, could the ego not be synonymous with the devil, angel we all contend with and project outwards?
So, and it's funny, right? Because I think cartoons, like I used to believe, right? Like you had your ego on one side, right? And you had the angel on the other. And the ego is supposed to be your devil and the angel, right? Like so is that reality or is that a narrative that doesn't allow us to see the power of our ego in a positive way? Because I think what we just said is that if we have an adult ego, it's actually a really good thing because it's our ability to interpret the things around us with like being alert, being capable, being rational. Those are the words you use, right? Like those are the things that come from the adult ego.
Right.
So if we imagine it as like the devil and the angel, then we're limiting our beliefs.
There you go. I was going to touch on
of what ego could be and where it goes, where the place is. Now, I think that's not to say that the evil is like, let's be honest. Okay, I'm gonna say, just honestly, from my own opinion, off the record of the spiritual healing, those egos are like the devils in relationships. Okay, like they really are. Like, they take up some damn space. They are unnecessary. They are frustrating. So yes, I get it. Yes.
So
what's up, C Dot? So glad you're here, lady.
Hello, C Dot. So back to the ego, devil, and the angel. That's your ego. If that's what you perceive it to be, that's what your ego will be. If you use those characteristics, that's your thought pattern. If that's your perception of it, that's what it is. Your ego consists of you, yourself, your characteristics, your attributes, your triggers, your attitude, the way you move, the way you do things. That is all. Your ego is in control of all of that. So if that's what you perceive, devil, angels, and as the ego, it's possible. Possible.
The power of manifestation.
There you go. So the limited ego mind gets in the way of big miracles in your life because it looks at what it perceives to be reality and creates a physical reaction, creating a resonance based on those perceived appearances, and doesn't fully understand or comprehend that what is being looked at and perceived as real has only been made real based on the instruction of the ego mind, and will continue to create and draw to itself the same or similar outcomes unless and until the perception, belief changes which created it to begin with.
Mm-hmm. I think that's everything. I mean, that's what we've been saying, right? That we got to change our mindset. We got to change the way we perceive things, and we
That's
can
right.
manifest something different. And we change then what our reality that we exist in is going to be.
That's right. In other words, the ego mind has the capability of keeping you from or connecting you to anything and everything that you have a desire to experience in every aspect of your life without limitations.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, this goes back to, I'm always thinking about how relationships are impacted by these things, right? Because this is the truth. I think that's the reality of what we exist in. And the way that the ego controls relationships is so dangerous.
It's dangerous.
Because of all that stuff you just said, right? Like, I think like it takes up that space. It can like make people retreat away from something or blocks off your ability to make connections that are authentic and real and honest.
This is true. This is true. Ego is the shadow. Ego comes from programming. Ego says you can't because it's not safe. It's too big. You're not worthy. It's too hard. That's not enough. When ego is involved with conflict, your ego goes into defensive behavior.
Yes. Yes, yes. That defensiveness.
That's the ego mind does its job based on flawed information, incomplete information, and igniting additional emotions that you desire to experience now or in the future. Going back to the relationship piece. If there is you and your partner and you, let's say you went and picked something up to eat only for you, right? And you know your partner did not eat and they hungry. No house. But you
that is such a jerk move. Such a jerk move.
And when they looked at you, it was like, you didn't give me nothing to eat. You said, you ain't asked, but damn, you hungry. You ain't, I mean, but your ego didn't care. That's and that ego of not caring left that other person feeling empty in some kind of way. And that can go south real fast just over that. Right?
But so in that example, what it is that your ego is putting your energy and your emphasis and what you think about on only yourself and not on others. And then if you're in a partnership, then not on the person you're with, right?
Right.
And therefore you're not concerned with the harm or the hurt or the like, yeah, you didn't feed me, right? Like you didn't feed me. You didn't think about feeding me, right? Like that's like that pissed me off, like, but that's the consideration, right? So like your ego takes up, and this is what I mean by, and I like what you're saying, because this is what I mean by it takes up space in a relationship, because if my ego is what I'm focused on, my needs, my desires, me, then I have no space to be able to consider what you might need, what you might want, or even recognize when you're not getting what you need, to be able to step back and be like, oh, maybe I could do this differently. Maybe I could move here differently. Maybe I could offer this for this person so they would feel better.
And the ego, depending on how bad it is, will never apologize.
No, it won't. No, it won't.
If that parent is in charge, that parent ego, you will not get an apology. Depending on what ego, what mindset you're working on.
And the less healed you are in life, the less you take the time to examine the things you've experienced and take ownership for them and recognize that things didn't happen to you, but you were involved in things too, right?
Right.
The less likely you are to be able to get out of that adult, that super ego place.
That super ego, yes. It all boils down to what? Ego, the super ego. The bartender said, I have
to. That's some dad joke humor. But yes, psychology student 101.
His
yes.
ego didn't let him, his ego didn't stop him from saying it.
No, it did not. No, it did not.
Okay. So, before I move on to effective ways to help you control your ego, do you have anything you want to throw into the mix? Do the audience have any questions? Do you all want to make a statement?
So, before the audience, I don't know if they're going to come in, but hopefully they're going to come in. I got this thing I've been kind of working in my head, because I think I have come to this conclusion that sometimes the ego of another person, when it is strong enough, when it is a super ego or it is the child ego, that's the id, right? Like when it's one of those, it is like the third party in a relationship. And it is almost as though you are being unfaithful to the person you're with, to your ego.
Yeah. And how would you... What makes that other person feel out of place?
What makes the other person feel that your ego takes up the space, kind of thing, you mean? Yeah. Like, why are they feeling? So I think it's a couple things, right? So if that person's ego is so big, and I remember this, I've experienced this, right? When an ego is so big because it's really driven by insecurity and defensiveness, then you are either, as the partner in the relationship, managing that ego, which means you're navigating around someone's ego. You're trying to acquiesce and appease and do the things where, like, it's like those relationships when you say, I'm walking on eggshells. That's what walking on eggshells is. Those eggshells are your fucking ego. Like, yeah. That's what it is. Like, it's the shreds and the shattered ego that's all over the damn floor that I got to walk around so that I am not stepping on something that's now going to blow up into this whole bossy, rigid, angry thing, right?
You hit it on.
So that's one thing. And that makes me feel disconnected from someone. That makes me feel like, well, where's my space in this if I have to constantly be thinking about your needs, your ego, massaging your ego, valuing your ego, making space for your ego, working through your ego, like all of it is me putting all this effort into taking care of you and your ego, and then I get no care from myself or from you.
So why are you dispensing all of that energy?
Because I'm a fool. No, I know. Jazz says I'd say unfair, maybe. I wouldn't say unfaithful, but I get you. Thank you. You get me. You get me. But yes, okay. It's unfair, meaning that, and I say unfaithful because I think sometimes, like faithfulness. I don't know, like the way I would define it is I think it's that that loyalty to someone. So maybe it's disloyal. It's not unfaithful. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know if that's any better, Ja. But but it's disloyal, because if you're in a partnership with someone, then you're offering a partnership. You're offering to be a part of their lives and for them to be a part of your life, not for them to be managing you and your needs and everything about you while they sacrifice themselves. And so this other thing has taken over the space that that person would have had and would have taken in being cared for. That's why I say it's disloyal.
Because of that expectation?
Okay, yes. Yes, because okay, yes. So yes, it's all about the expectation. It's yes. So is that so? Now let me ask you, and I want to get to Andrew's comment. And then first I'm gonna say Andrew's comment. Then I'm gonna ask you something. Oh, I missed Andrew's comment. Ego has a problem with itself, so it causes a dependence that people need to feel powerful or more important. Yes, you have to feel more important. You have to feel that you are getting all of that attention and desire, and everybody is kowtowing to you, right? So here's my question for you though, Trini. Is that need of expectation, of certainty, of like all of those things actually my ego that was in the space as well? Because the look you're giving me makes me feel like yes.
So I'm gonna go back to what I said in the beginning. The definition alone, the self, especially as contrasted with another self or the world. So your ego don't pop out or appear until it's in front of someone else or behind someone else or hiding. It don't pop out until another ego is around.
So what about those behaviors that I just described of my own? I mean, because this is clearly spiritual healing of Maria time. So I'm just throwing it out there. But what about those behaviors of mine would show that my ego was coming out? Like if we were to unpack that, what did you hear that showed my ego in the space?
When you are too detailed about how wrong another person may have done, or how, and you put a strong emotion to it, your ego has now taken the lead, because now you're showcasing entitlement like the parent ego would. Depending on how you react from your childhood upbringing and all that good stuff, and your awareness of you and all that, depending on how that is and how authentic you are with yourself and honest, will show how your ego will either be mature or immature.
Mm. So my desire to be right is, what's up, Williamson? Nice to see you here. Thank you for um so it sounds like my desire to be right about the experience was my ego. So Ishay says ego makes you care. One benefit of ego. That's true. It does
It
make
does.
you care.
It
And
does.
that's and but it is keeping it in check, right? So like yes, in that moment my ego took over. Now I will say in honesty, I have done a lot of work on that behavior too, in that recognizing that it didn't happen to me, but I allowed it to occur and I was in that experience. And so I decided to walk around eggshells. I didn't have to.
Right. That was your decision.
I allowed space for the
And so
ego to
hold
exist.
on. Wait. Before you go any
Okay.
further, with you walking around on eggshells, do you know how passive aggressive you were?
Oh, very,
so,
very, very.
so what's up with that ego?
Oh, yeah. And Josh says in sickness and health means mental health too. They signed up for it. Yeah, but that's true. But you know what? I agree with that. I totally agree with that because I think that's where you accept people for who they are, not who you want them to be. So within reason, because if who they are is intentionally harming you over and over and over again, then you can accept that as their reality, but you don't have to stay in that reality.
Right. Right. Because
But
the
if
point
who
is,
they are, right, go ahead. No, I'm just saying like no, so I'm just saying like but if who they are is going to Ja's point, right? Like if who they are is that they have some challenges. They got ego because we all got ego, like you said, it's the self, right? So we all have ego. So how do I recognize where someone else's ego may have a moment or a space to be in there, but it's not going to take up the entire relationship?
see, and that's where your boundaries come in. That's where you and your partner are supposed to have conversations. You're supposed to communicate with your partner. He's supposed to know your boundary. She's supposed to know his boundary, or he, whatever it is. They supposed to know their partner boundary, right? And with that being said, you should be considerate of that boundary, because when it was mentioned, if you didn't say, I ain't gonna, I ain't gonna be able to uphold that boundary. No, that boundary too strong right there. I'm not gonna be able to hold that one. If you can't say that and be upfront and be real with your partner, like, can we eat? Okay, I understand why you want to put this as a boundary, but can we slighten up? Can I get a chip in the morning? Kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about communication. That ego needs to talk. Because when you don't let the ego talk, you push down that will, and the will get flustered, frustrated, and all kinds of stuff. And then that's an inner conflict within yourself. You could be pushing out illusions with your ego of things that might be happening that ain't not even compared to or not even going down.
Yeah. And that's such a shift from what I think I walked into thinking we were going to talk about. I'll be honest. Like, I really did. Like, for me, ego seems like such a negative thing, but I think the shift is that it's not a negative thing. Your ego has to exist in order for you to voice the needs that you have, and for the person that you're with and the people that you engage with to voice the needs they have. But it's a matter of, are you going to allow insecurities or defensiveness to drive your response to that person's ego? And is your ego going to take over the space so much because it's coming from a place of insecurity and defensiveness?
This is true. We got to check ourselves. Who was it? Was it Thousand Facts? Who sang it, y'all? I don't know. You better check yourself before you
wreck yourself. Yes. I don't have the artist, but I know. Yeah. I'm gonna have to reach out to the audience because pop culture ain't my thing. You know that. That is not my wheelhouse. I will not be able to tell you an artist for anything, but I can sing along with the song. That's it.
So while we're talking about ego,
sing it again, Trini.
I
yes.
am not singing it. My ego will not allow me to sing it again. You now set me up. Riggedy
Rick. Yes. Andrew says Ice Cube.
Ice Cube? Was that? No, that wasn't Ice Cube, was it?
Yes, FYI, Trini can spit. She can. That's going to be on another podcast. We're going to have to make some time for that one. That's going to be the after hours with some drinks podcast.
Yeah, I like that one. A little bit of herb. Mm-hmm. Ease down the ego.
Yes. Nothing.
Okay, so there will be no promotional video today, but I did want to talk to y'all about a project that I'm doing, and I will have some video and content for it. But the project is called Yomi Chi. It's consisted of yoga, meditation, and qigong, and it aligns with your chakras. Hence, if you can see it, that's the background. Okay, I'm getting ready. So I will be hosting workshops, 7 weeks. There will be a workshop 1 week based on the different chakras. And what that does, it's going to help you align your inner self. We're going to get you tuned in. You're going to get aware of yourself. You're going to see your aura going to shine so bright. You're going to be like, is that me? The good ego going to come out. So I will get some video and get y'all in on that, and y'all can check that out when I have it ready. In the meantime, Maria has a project as well.
So, y'all better get ready. Yes. So first off, I want to say that I have to attest to Trini's ability. Those of y'all who are just joining us maybe today, what you don't know is that I met Trini when my aura and probably my ego were a mess. and she has certainly helped me come to a place of, and honestly, like Trini was about a year ago, literally in a year.
Yes, Thanksgiving.
It was Thanksgiving last year. In a year, Trini has helped me to find my center, my growth, my ability to process things and really identify my needs to be able to be better and do better. And I'm here because of it. Like, let's be honest, I'm here because of it. I'm talking to other people about it. I'm writing about it. And so there's my other project is, like I write and I have a blog, but I also would love for everybody to check out my YouTube channel, Brown Girl Interrupting, because in addition to writing, I like to talk. I don't know if y'all figured that one out yet, but I love to talk. And sometimes I got some wisdom to share, and I talk about just about everything: relationships, healing, parenting, just being a brown girl in my skin of what it is and what that experience has been. And so, check out my YouTube channel, Brown Girl Interrupting. Go and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. I'm going to be uploading a lot more videos so you can see what's there already. And check me out for sure. Hi, my name is Maria, but you are soon going to know me as Brown Girl Interrupting. And what I mean by that is that very soon, hopefully, you're going to be following my blog. I am a writer, and I started writing because I was married
I had children, and then my life changed when I separated, and I did a lot of learning and reflecting and growing in that process of change, because change always leads us to that.
All right.
So,
I think that's cool. So if you haven't done it yet, go check out my blog too at www.browngirlinterrupting.com. And again, subscribe. So when you see it, go ahead, get that, subscribe right away so you get all my updated posts, because I write about all of these experiences. So Ishay says Kanye made the ego look bad. Yes,
he did. He really did. He really did. Thank you,
thank you, Redemption Song. We appreciate you being here and in the chat. And definitely throw us some questions, any thoughts you have. We are so love to you.
Check out our Facebook page. Interact, we're trying to make us a community so we can grow together, y'all. We learn it. We're getting older. It's time to become older with grace and wisdom. And I also like to throw out a thank you to Maria, because I appreciate her more than she knows. And she's helped this baby grow. We making it grow together. And also, thank you, y'all, for producing it.
Yes.
And we have Palmer Studios in the house, and they do Andrew does his podcast on his show. We also have Living Ishay Reviews. Check out his podcast. He talks about reality.
Yes. He does an excellent job doing some commentary on some crazy reality shows from the perspective of a man of a certain age. So check out his YouTube channel, Living Ishay Reviews, for sure.
So, with that being said, Maria, I think it's time for us to go.
Okay.
And guys, we love this. I love being here with you all. And we'll be back. Come on, let's rock, Maria. Same bat time.
Same that channel. We be here. We will see you all next week at 9:00 on Thursday. Be here. Be ready. Bring your friends. And subscribe to all the pages and the channels. And follow us on Instagram for Bettermindz and Brown Girl Interrupting.
The links are below.
Peace out, fam.
Peace out.